First, I want to start this off by saying half my footage got corrupted for some reason, so I cannot show you a traditional cooking recipe vid. But you work with what you got, right? Hello, my little embers. Welcome to Cooking with Casey. If this video goes well, I'll be doing an episode 2, but that's for you to decide. This episode will be making a recipe I thought of, but I'm still in the process of modifying, which is elf ramen. Based on the elf soup found in the plus size elf manga, of course, and using the tutorial made by Carl and Austin for the elf soup. Please check it out because it's a very good recipe when you want to really follow the steps that were done in the manga. So today we'll be starting off at the end, which is the assembly since, most of the cooking process. Yeah. First, we're gonna start off with a bowl of noodles, broth, and mushrooms. The broth, instead of kombu, I used dashi powder with a half teaspoon to 1 cup of water ratio, but this will depend on what brand you're using since the brand I'm using is a bit weaker. I should have used more broth to give it more of the stronger umami taste. After boiling the mushrooms, in the broth of course, I removed the enoki and shiitake so I can fix them in the presentation as can be seen here. The noodles, beach mushroom, and king oyster all cooked together in the broth with 1 tablespoon of mirin, 1 teaspoon of mirin, 1 teaspoon of sake, and 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, which, fun fact, are the core ingredients for many Japanese dishes. You'd probably like to add a bit more spice here, so things like chili powder, paprika, and so on. Which I forgot to do. I'm starting to think I should have planned this cooking video a lot better, but oh well. Here, I start preparing things for presentation, starting with the enoki and shiitake. And yes, I should have been using chopsticks, but the shiitake was slippery and the enoki, yeah, I just suck at using chopsticks. Next off, I use dried seaweed or nori to add some color and act like a garnish. Then I added the closest thing to chashu I could find nearby. And this is pre-made because I am not confident enough to make it myself. Also, I forgot that Erufada does not eat meat, so we probably should not have included it. Next, we add a tap of sesame because of course I would. Side note, I forgot to add a bit of sesame oil which would help add another layer of flavor. And the sesame is just to add a better texture, like an extra crunch that you have in your ramen. Then I add a pinch of dried parsley to enhance the flavor of the broth, but also as a replacement for the mitsuba leaf, which I do not have in my local area. Looking at this now, I probably should have gone with sesame or parsley, but not both because it just looks like a bit of a mess. Next, for my favorite part, the spring onions, which I should have boiled with the noodles earlier to have them better infuse the broth with more taste. But if I did, I wouldn't have the type of garnish contrast that would show here, which makes the dish look more appetizing. Next, I would prefer lemon, but I had to settle for key lime because that's all I had. And this part is just to add a bit of a refreshing taste or zest to the ramen. Not too much, of course, you don't want it overpowering the broth. But that being said, I added a bit too much garlic because I'm a psychopath. Ah, dang it, I forgot to add some salt earlier. Well, I guess there's only one thing left to do. Ah, truly. A ramen built for Erufada.
You ruined the ramen!
What are you doing here?